Okay, what we're looking at is imperialism. Let's put up the earbuds. All right. What we're going to be looking at is how does imperialism really cause World War I? Because everything in imperialism is like the pre-game to World War I. So what we're going to see here is the strife between nations to take over areas is what's going to cause World War I, and eventually we'll see World War II and then the Cold War. But imperialism, you'll have this on your study guide. It was the first question on there. It says, what is it? It's basically the domination of one country over weaker countries. And this is why social Darwinism came into play. Right? We're going to see one of the first things that they're going to be able to have is to dominate by arms. This is why the Maxim machine gun is created. They weren't able to take over Africa because most of the people, remember, they have immunities to the disease. When they came to the Americas, did the natives have any immunities? So they were able to conquer all of the Americas because they basically killed them by disease. When the Europeans are going to try to conquer Africa, the first few times, the Africans are able to fight them. Because remember with trade, they were trading arms for slaves. So they had swords and they had guns. So not until the machine gun is created that... Are you okay? Okay. Is the bug okay?
No.
I just saw him slap himself, so I didn't know if it was like Tourette's or...
Tourette's true.
Okay.
Tanner.
Okay. Okay, let's get back to this. Okay, so we're going to see with the creation of the machine gun, that's why they're able to take over Africa. And that's another reason why they're able to take over India. They're able to take over China because what did they introduce in trade to China? Opium. Okay, trade is going to also, we've seen trade all along, right? Since we started the vessels that were going to China. But what's going to happen here is that trade is going to become more favorable to the British because they've industrialized. And they could sell their goods cheaper than what it is to produce at a local item. And we're going to see the business and investment is what's going to encourage these people. Remember the joint stock company we keep on talking about? That's what's going to encourage this imperialism. So the modus one is industrialization. What continent has industrialized? Europe. Has the Americas done this? No. Has Russia done this? No. Has Asia done this?
No.
And has Africa done that?
Yes.
No. And that's why Europe is able to take over most of these areas because they've industrialized. Politically, they are stronger than these nations. They're going to come in and bring settlers in to take over their government. Also, there's cultural motives. We read Ripley's White Man's Burden. That's a cultural motive, along with the idea of social Darwinism. We're going to see Great Britain is going to be the most dominant force in imperialism. And a lot of it stems from this political cartoon is what do they have that allows them to dominate? Weapons. They have steamboats. They have dreadnoughts that have the cannons on the side. And this is what's going to allow them to be the most dominant in imperialism. So just imagine, today, I would bring in candy and I would throw it on the floor. Who's going to get the most? Why would you say Jacob? Why would you say Jacob would run?
Because he's not afraid that hurts somebody to get candy.
And so he's going to be like Britain, right? He would dominate and get all the other candy.
Am I wrong? Listen to the story.
Okay, so Jacob is Britain. He's going to go in there and get what he wants because he's going to dominate. Okay, who do you think is going to get the least amount of candy?
Well,
Okay, Drew. Why do y'all say that y'all are going to get the least amount of candy?
Drew has autism.
Oh, he stays out of it. He's like diabetic. I don't care. Let them go. But do you see that? Do you see that countries are going to stay out because they're like, it really doesn't interest me, and he's going to be like Belgium that doesn't go in and doesn't get anything because it doesn't interest them. But countries like England that have industrialized, they need these resources just to get by. They're going to dominate. And are the rest of us going to be upset with Jacob for taking all the candy?
Oh, definitely.
And then are we going to gang up against him?
Yeah.
And this is what starts World War I.
Just punch him in the stomach when he drops
I have a really
Yes.
important question. Is the part of me saying Joe's autism going to be in that video?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
No.
Okay. So, do y'all understand? Great Britain is going to upset one major country that doesn't get a lot. It's Germany. And if you think about World War I, it's Britain versus Germany. Yes. Yeah, go ahead. Okay. So we're going to see this, again, I keep on telling you because you're eventually going to see something in the future about Britain and Germany having issues because who is going to take the most land in imperialism? Britain. And then who's going to be jealous of that? Germany. Okay, I've lost y'all with this whole candy thing.
She said Europe.
Okay, it just stuck in your head. Okay, so again, remember countries that had no colonies, Belgium. Belgium was not interested. Okay, they're just in the back. They're like, let everybody go after it. But we're going to see all of these countries that start land grabbing are all going to be involved in World War I. And what they learn in imperialism is how they're going to play the war. So other late people to come into imperialism is the U.S., because the U.S. will industrialize later, and Japan, because we saw this in the crossroads of societies. Japan was the other. They realized they could decline, but they didn't decide, okay, y'all are concerned about this. Okay, y'all see Uncle Sam here, right? Who is he being stern with?
His kids.
Oh, the colored people, right? And it says on their sashes, Cuba, Puerto Rico, Hawaii, Philippines. And he's chastising them, right?
What do they look for?
Hawaii have a facial hair?
Okay. And then the European countries, they all have their names here. Is he even chastising them?
He's saying I don't
No.
want
Okay, and then now y'all see some other people. Do y'all see the Native American? Eventually, when you get to U.S., this was a U.S. political cartoon. The Native Americans, they will take their kids away and put them in schools to assimilate them. So that's why the Native Americans there sitting reading.
What's that guy doing in the corner?
This is the African American. Because of Jim Crow, they're only allowed to certain servitude positions. And then do y'all see the Chinese guy with the rat tail over here? Remember the Manchus? They had the hair thing and they shaved it all. He's trying to come in. Okay, but this, again, this is a political cartoon for the U.S. We will not need to know this for this test. Next year, when we get to protectorates, when you get to imperialism in the U.S., you will need to know this, but not right now.
That's a little bit racist. Just a little.
But again, are these overtones coming out in white man's burden? What is the burden here? Were these white people a burden?
No.
Who was the burden? Them. They've dealt with the Indian by assimilating them. They dealt with the African American by Jim Crow, and they've dealt with the Chinese by giving them what? Ponytails.
Rat tail.
The opioids.
Also rat tail.
Okay, we're gonna skip this one. So, have we talked about colonies before? So, do you think this is gonna be on this test, colonies? That we would go back and hit colonies again?
Very
Yes.
possible.
No. Protectorate. You're going to need to know this in U.S. that we're going to protect it. Even though they're their own government, and this is what's going to happen to Cuba. Okay? You won't need to know this one. Number 3, sphere of influence. This is where we go in and we carve up a nation. And it's not only one nation, it's several nations. And y'all should remember from societies at a crossroads that this is what happened to China. Because there was that question, where did Germany take? Where did France take? Where did Italy take? Where did Britain take? That is a sphere of influence, and you should remember China with that. This next one is a settler colony. What do you think the dominant nation is sending to that colony? Settler colony. What are they? Settlers. Okay, so I want you to think of Australia. Do y'all know how the flag for Australia looks?
Yeah, it's the British flag.
It's the British flag in the corner.
No.
No. Okay, do y'all all, if you're just curing an image of the Australian flag, y'all know it has the British flag there. So this used to be a settler colony for what country? Britain. And so it sent in its settlers, and if you think about the Australian accent, do you think the indigenous people had that accent? No, it was actually British people coming over. And that's where the accent comes, the Australian accent, because it was British people coming over. So the British country, we're looking at UK, we're looking at Ireland, we're looking at Northern Ireland, and we're looking at the UK proper. They send in settlers and they're going to dominate the politics. So what's going to happen to the indigenous people? Some of them, yes. But most of them, will they control the politics? Will they control the economy?
No, they're gonna
Assimilate. And so what has happened to the indigenous population in Australia? They have moved further inland. Okay, so what was the one that I told you need to know as a sphere of influence? China. What was the one that I said was a settler colony?
Australia.
Okay, eventually in U.S. you will learn Hawaii is a settler colony for the United States. Okay, so European ideas of superiority, which we saw in the poem, right? We saw when we did over the 4 different classes. They were proof that they were the superior, and y'all talked about this in bio last year, of survival of the fittest with Charles Darwin. But we're going to see Herbert Spencer is going to bring in this idea, and we're going to have a lot of people who are looking at societies that are going to start to quantify classes. Do y'all remember the 4 classes? Africans, what is the other one? Asians, Europeans, and Native Americans. And they're going to start looking at them, and they're going to start giving attributes to each group, and this is what's going to be quantified as what we know as the starting of racism. So just some missionaries go out. We know the missionaries go out to learn more about the natives. We already read his poem. He does have a novel. But what we're going to look at now is cartoons, okay? This guy is Cecil Rhodes. And I'm going over this so eventually when you go back and do your own, you figure out which one you want to do. What continent is he over?
Africa.
Okay? How is he able, look at him, how is he able to take over Africa?
That's the streams. Side by side.
Business.
He has a gun. Do y'all see the gun now? All right, now we're focused on this string. What do you think this string is?
A string. Oh, it's
Y'all, do y'all remember the telegraph line? Y'all had it on your study guide? It's a telegraph line. Okay, Cecil Rhodes, you probably know him. Have you ever heard of the Rhodes Scholar? Okay, he's the guy who funds it. He gets all of his money by coming in to Africa and finding gold and diamonds. Okay, so how are the Europeans going to be able to dominate over Africa? What do they use? Gun, and they use technology to be able to dominate. I know this is spelled weird. In America, we don't spell Africa that way. Eventually, next year in U.S. history, you're going to learn about Noah Webster, and Noah Webster changes the way we spell stuff in America. Like the British, they spell color C-O-L-O-U-R.
And flavor.
And then and flavor too, and then he takes out the U. And then we start to spell Africa with the C. This is how they spell it there. I want you to think, what nation do you think is cutting up Africa?
It's Germany.
Uh-huh.
Iron Cross.
You can tell by
You
their
see
hip
the Iron
mustache.
Cross. Do you see how he's dividing it up, right? Okay, and these are other European nations here, sitting and dividing up Africa. Okay, this one, there's a lot going on.
It looks like a peacock.
Okay, this, if you look at his, what is it called, his canteen? Or his man bag? It says U.S.
Merce.
His merce?
Man
I didn't know it was called a merce.
We call them
Okay.
impressions.
Okay, so canteen or his merce or his man bag. He is going up. What is he carrying? Someone said a peacock. This is not a peacock.
That is definitely a peacock.
purse.
Okay, it's an Indian peacock.
It is a native person.
So it's a mon.
Okay. Okay, so now y'all are okay, are they being polite? No. But why do they have they're making them look heathen like, right?
Why does it say May on the
Oh, that's
the
an
sign?
arm, not a trunk.
That is his arm.
Wait,
This
that's
is-
a mascot?
This is his
Mascot.
no, it's not a mask.
Wait,
This is his face, those
Look
are
at
the
his
lips, eyes, hair,
Is that how they?
skirt.
Oh no.
They often did this. Next year when you sing Queen Liliuokalani from Hawaii, because this is what it's focused on, Hawaii, they're going to portray her like this, but when she actually takes her photos, she's dignified and civilized. She has royal regalia, she has crowns, she has everything. She knows 7 languages. But again, if we show them in a political cartoon looking heathen-like, does that kind of encourage that we need to go over and take over this place? And if you look at this, the U.S. is carrying this heathen Hawaiian. Do y'all see where he's carrying it to?
The
schoolhouse to educate them. These people are so heathen-like that is this a burden now?
Yes.
We have to carry it and educate it. I want you to look at the ground. Do y'all see the feet? Were people's lives taken to take over these areas? Okay.
What does it say May for? Can you go back? It said May.
Where?
Right there on the right. Does that say May?
May Day.
Oh, I don't see day.
No, May Day is like help.
Oh, that.
Yeah. Okay. Pablo.
We're going to just go back to this.
Oh, that guy in the
Okay.
turban looks cool.
Okay. So what nation should the turban automatically ensue for you? India. Okay. And what nation do you think is carrying? He's carrying.
That's a man.
It is a man. He is very chubby. This is Great
Big
Britain.
boy.
Okay. Who is this guy right here? Uncle Sam, and this is a Latin American country. But this is
Racist.
okay. Have these countries industrialized? Have the ones on the top, the U.S., Great Britain, have they industrialized? But what happens to the nations that haven't industrialized?
They haven't industrialized.
Do they have any way to carry these people around? Do they have horses? Do they have cars? Do they have railroads? So and I'm going to show you a picture. I'm going to go a little bit ahead because one of the common ways of people being that because of lack of technology, they would often carry around the people. Are you picking out a new job opportunity for yourself, Scott? The person who's going to watch this, I'm sorry in advance. Okay, Scott's new job. You don't have to go to college. Right there. Okay. So,
Look how small Scott is. He would like in half.
okay, so because of the lack, I've completely lost you.
Look
But-
at his.
I shouldn't have recorded in this class.
Stop talking. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, it's just so much to edit. But, okay, because of the lack of industrialization, the lack of technology, the lack of horses, the lack of stuff in these countries, one of the ways that people were transported was through being carried. Okay? But that's what this shows here. On this side, are they trying to focus on the lack of transportation? No. Whenever a European country or the U.S. is carrying a group of people, this is going to signify what? Lack of technology or white man's burden?
White man's burden.
White man's burden. This one right here where the native is carrying the European, it signifies what?
Black technology.
Yes. Do not do this in school, Scott.
I'm making names for each of the people in the basket.
What are the names?
I can't- I
Scott's
forget.
Halloween costume next year. Did he say I can't say?
Okay, where do you think, what continent are we on?
Africa.
Okay, so who do you think, what nation do you think this is?
The snake.
Great Britain.
Great
And
Britain.
they're saying, did it have good motives in going here? No, that's why it's depicted as a snake, because what was the whole reason why they wanted to take over Africa? For what? Resources. So hence why it's a snake. This is referring to China over here. And there's European countries. Is this sphere of influence or is this settler colony? Sphere of influence. Okay, and the Chinese man, he's trying to object to it. Can the Chinese people actually stop this? What treaty can they actually get out of? Yes, they're opioids, but the Treaty of Nanjing prevents it. So let's go to this whole thing that Wesley said. China will always be depicted as a dragon, and you're always going to see them. They have the hair, the Manchu hair with the ponytail. But when I think about a dragon, I always think about a vicious dragon. Is this a vicious dragon?
It's a stupid dragon.
Okay, this dragon actually has been taken down because what has been introduced into China?
Weapon.
The opioids. And so this is why the dragon is comatose. And that's why, are they able to take down this dragon more easier because it's now docile? Okay, and so now eventually when we get to World War I, all of these political cartoons are going to come out. So who represents the lion? It's not Germany. Oh, it does have, wait, it's supposed to be England, but it does have the German plume. Okay, where is England? England's not.
Well, the
The bear
Russia.
is Russia. This is the U.S. This is Germany right here. And this is England.
Where's Austria?
Austria's it down on the bottom right here. It's an ostrich.
Oh, because it's that's clever. I get it. Because
Okay, what country is this?
Texas.
Okay, and do y'all see all the hands and the area controls? Okay, except for those who've fallen asleep. Jacob, Pablo, good morning, gentlemen. Okay, we already did this one. Okay, eventually I'm gonna move on to doing the review quiz after I finish this, but all of these images are on the classroom in the PowerPoint. You're gonna choose one of them to go back and do that cartoon analysis for. We talked through most of the parts of it. Alright, so just know that most of this stuff of imperialism, of social Darwinism, white man's burden, is going to come out in novels, it's going to come out in political cartoons at this time period, and it comes out in newspapers. We're done. Okay, so I want us to focus on this. Who do you think got the most land here?
Britain.
No.
Why do y'all think it's just France? Because it's all together, right? Look at what Britain's land is.
It's isolated.
It's separate, right? But if we put it all together, did Britain get the most? Okay, who got the best land? Y'all said France had a lot, but is this the best land?
That's all desert.
That's all desert, so France didn't get good land. So who got the best land? Okay, you said who got South Africa? England. Why would South Africa be some good land? Well, eventually diamonds.
I thought South Africa was settled by the Dutch.
Yes, it was originally. And then it went to the Portuguese, and now it's in the hands of the English.
They speak Dutch.
But why would this be strategically an important site? Trade, right? Stopping point, port. Is this the most important one?
Yes. No. Yeah, Egypt.
No.
Why do you say Egypt? Look at this.
Suez Canal.
The Suez Canal.
Closest.
And then what's this right here? The Nile River. And why would they want the Nile River? Think about what they've industrialized at home. What are they making at home? Steamboats, yes. They have factories. What are their factories for? Textiles. And what is produced on the Nile River? Not textiles, but what is the thing that, cotton? Cotton, yeah, stuff. Everything.
I knew that.
Okay, y'all said textiles after I said textiles. But this is a really important area, right? And it eventually goes into the diamond fields down here. There's diamonds down here. Who else got another important area? Portugal. Where do y'all see it? Right here and right here, right?
Well, there's one.
They're ports. Okay, I want you to look at Germany. Did Germany get a lot?
They got Namibia. That's all desert.
They got a desert. So are they going to be jealous of the English? Because the English, they got diamonds, they got resources, okay, and they got the most land and the best land. So when the war breaks out, is there a little bit of jealousy here? And so I'm telling you, World War I has its roots in imperialism. Okay, what we're going to do now that video